sharp, and in it you debunk common myths about aging and cognitive decline, focusing less on improving intelligence and more about both making new brain cells and making the ones you have work more efficiently. And you write in part this: clean living can slash your risk of developing a serious mind-destroying disorder, including Alzheimer's disease, even if you carry a genetic risk factors for it. I would like to know what you mean by that, and any other advice that you have, and what else we can get out of this book to sort of develop a healthy brain later in life.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. Happy New Year to you. I spent a couple of years working on this book, and I was, I think, most inspired by research that was coming out that was clearly demonstrating that throughout your life, at any age, you could continue to grow new brain cells. I think the conventional wisdom, even in the neuroscience community, was you got what you got, you drained the cash over time, and that was it. But you can grow new brain cells at any age, and in many societies around the world, the idea that you're going to develop a neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's, a type of dementia, that's not normal. Here in the United States, we've come to really sort of see a lot more of that, even expect it. If you have a family history, you think for sure I'm going to get this, it's preordained. That's not the case. What do those other societies do in many places around the world? Well, it does have to do, I think, more with clean living, as you said, versus, a new therapeutic or some breakthrough procedure of some sort. So just a couple examples. When we talk about movement, and I use the word movement instead of exercise, that probably has the most evidence around it for actually growing new brain cells. When you are briskly moving, you tend to release this substance known as BDNF. It's a neurotrophic factor. You don't need to remember that. But a neuroscientist that I spoke to described it as miracle grow for the brain. You can't take it as an injection or a pill. So how do you release more brain-derived neurotrophic factor? Well, brisk movement tends to be one of the best ways to do that. Now, that's different than intensive movement because, interestingly, and this was a revelation for me, when you're intensely exercising, which can be good for your heart, you're also releasing a lot of cortisol. Now, cortisol, a stress hormone, can block those neurotrophic factors. So you're doing stuff that's good for your heart, but not necessarily for your brain. If you're trying to, maintain that neurogenesis, those new brain cells, brisk walking better than running, for example. When it comes to sleep, we know that sleep is that time of the day when you're actually getting memories stored, sort of put into long-term memory stores. You're washing away waste products that are often associated with building up plaques later on in life. So we see places where they have very rare cases of Alzheimer's or dementia, they're getting plenty of sleep. And one more thing I would just throw into the mix. I mean, there's several things I read about in the book, but another fascinating one is that we use our entire brains, but we're probably using our brains like we're living our COVID lives. We're using about 10% of our brains 90% of the time, traveling to the grocery store, to school, whatever it may be, and back and forth. If you want to actually build reserve in your brain, you have to travel to other parts of the brain. And the way to do that is not to keep doing the same activities you do over and over again, crossword puzzles, number puzzles, things like that, but to do totally different activities. Things that get you outside your comfort zone a little bit, and maybe even things that you're doing with your hands. So simple things like brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, that can be a way to build that cognitive reserve. Learning how to paint, learning how to play the piano. I have a left-handed guitar that I've now been playing in addition to my right-handed guitar, just to sort of get that mental acuity and build that cognitive reserve. I know some of that may sound silly, but if you're trying to exercise these different parts of the brain to ward off disease later in life, it can work really well.
Makes a lot of sense. Sounds really useful, and you've just validated my slow running. My daughters are like, Mom, you run so slow I could walk next to you. So maybe I'm onto something. And Sanjay,
good for the brain.
We have our own Dr. Gupta here at MSNBC, someone who calls you his mentor.